Hi, I'm Fresha from lab.one.recordings. Today we're going through a basic tutorial of how to get your sub bass to have a little bit more punch, a little bit more edge to it, so it can basically come across a sound system a little bit heavier, a little bit harder hitting than a generic basic bass sound. You can use this across any type of synths or samplers. You can use it hardware or software as well. I'll be using Propeller Head Record with Reason synths, and I'll go through, as long as your synth has got an envelope that you can create using a modulation. So basically we're going to be modulating the pitch of the note to give it that little bit of smack to it. Okay, I'll go through this. If there's any questions or anything, by all means just drop us an email or any comments, and I'll hopefully be able to answer them. If there's anything else or any other tutorials you might want to see, by all means let me know and I'll see what I can do. Okay, I'm in record with my empty rack. I'm going to create a subtractor to do this simple sub bass patch. Make sure it's initialized, and you can use just any sound module. It doesn't even have to be inside reeds, it could be anything. Set polyphony to 1, so because sub bass, singular notes, you don't need chords or duplicate notes and things like that all the way down there. We'll leave it on retrig because I want to retrigger the modulation envelope I'm going to be using in a minute. We'll leave it on saw wave, and I'm going to open up the filter, so I don't need it for the moment. So you can hear that very simplistic sort of sound. That's like a default setup. We'll turn the master level up to 100, so you've got a little bit more volume to it. The amp envelope will push up a click on the attack just so this can fade in. It stops clicks. Subtractor, you can sometimes get away with it. Thor and Maelstrom and sample modules, sometimes you can't, and you might get a click at the start, so I advise pushing the attack up only ever so slightly so it can fade in, and also do the same on fade out. So when you release, instead of just having it at 0 so it cuts off square, just fade it off where you release ever so slightly. It's only just so it smooths it out for you, it saves you doing the work later. Push the decay and sustain all the way up so we get a consistent sound. You don't need a filter envelope. We're not going to have it affecting the filter at all, so we'll just drop all these down and have the amount to 0. Onto the velocity next. We're not going to have any velocity control, so make sure that they're all turned off. There's no LFO controls at all. Don't worry about mod wheels or anything like that. We're not going to mess around with anything like that. The next bit we're going to do to control the pitch is use the mod envelope. Now, in a minute, it's linked to oscillator 1, which is the only sound we've got running. It's not actually doing anything yet because the mod gain is set to 0. It's got no changes at all. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the decay actually determine how long it's going to take to start from a higher note to drift all the way down through the pitches through to the note I'm playing on the keyboard. That is set by time by the decay control, and it's the time from decay to sustain. Sustain can be classed as the note that you're holding down. Make sure sustain is at 0. If it's anything off 0, your note will be out of key. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the amount up, and now this is setting the start pitch. So if I set it up quite high and the decay is fairly long, you should hear until eventually it stops pitching down and hits the note that I'm holding down. And that's too high pitched and it's taking too long. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the decay down. You can't really tell it's pitching. You can tell it's doing something different to a normal stock sort of sound. And it's just got that extra little bit more dynamic, just something else about it. and you can be as tight or as loose as you want on there. You can be really fast or just relax it a bit so it's discreet. But sometimes dance music isn't discreet. You want to give it a bit of smack. I won't go too mad, or else it will start to chirp. Now we'll set the waveform to square. You got that traditional sort of square wave bass sort of sound. If it's turned off, very bland, very original. I've just bought Symphony 80s, just turned it on. Oh, that's a nice square wave. We're not in the 80s anymore, unfortunately. So you got to start adding a bit of character, a bit of dynamics to all your sounds. So what we're going to do is, I've just done that, pushed it back up. Still sounds a bit synth. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop the filter now. And now you've got a bit more of a bass. You can hear it sort of kicking at the start. If I turn that back off again, very old schooly sort of sound. If you want to go for that sort of sound, that's fine. But if you want something to carry a bit, then I'd say about using pitch control on here. And it just helps it clout through a little bit more. You can even find on different waveforms, waveform 15 is a very FM sort of sound. I've got everything still set exactly the same as I did 2 seconds ago. I'm only controlling the filter now. And I've got a different sort of sub bass again. And you can tweak this until you're happy with the actual frequencies you're getting. So with that, it's as simple as that. And you can just dive further into some of the other sounds. Just to add that little bit more without even really doing a great deal. And it's just a bit of tweaking around here and there. So with this in mind, what I'm going to do for the next tutorial is use like a bass patch from one of these settings and underline it with like a mid-range sort of sound to see if we can get it to carry through a bit more, just so it gives it that little bit more bass and a little bit more character, especially for the low end control as well. Well, hopefully you've taken on board some of the things that I've picked up while I've been into this music production, and hopefully if you've got any questions, then I'll be able to give some answers or some pointers to other options that you can try out. If you've got any general questions or any tutorials you want to see, by all means just drop me an email and I'll see if I can get a tutorial up. I'm working on more progressive and more technical minded projects throughout these videos, so you'll be able to see more as we go. Thanks for stopping by and watching this, and hope to see you soon.